Chile is a country in South America, occupying a long narrow strip of land between the Andes Mountains to the east and the Pacific Ocean to the west. Chile has a population of 16.5 million. The Democratic Republic of Congo, or DR Congo, is a country located in Central Africa. It is the second largest country in Africa by area and the 11th largest in the world. Chile is one of the South America's most stable and prosperous nations, leading Latin American nations in human development, competitiveness, income per capita, globalization, economic freedom, and low perception of corruption. Chile produces and exports more than a third of the world's copper, but also has a great diversity of exports besides copper, like forestry and wood products, fresh fruits like apples, grapes, processed foods, fish meal, seafood, and wine. The DR Congo is a country with huge potential. With its vast agricultural and mineral resources, the Democratic Republic of Congo has the potential to become one of the richest countries in Africa and one of the key drivers for the growth of the continent. However, the DR Congo remains fragile, with enormous needs for reconstructions and for economic growth. Chile is the fourth country in the world with the highest prevalence of obesity. It ranks below the countries like the United States, Mexico, and New Zealand. 67% of the Chileans are overweight, and 25% of them are obese. The DR Congo is one of the areas with the highest proportion of undernourished people in the world. According to the data collected, about 530,000 children under 5 and more than 1 million pregnant women suffer from this scourge. What do these two realities have in common? The bad food distribution, which causes lack of healthy food required to have a balanced diet. Fruits and vegetables in Chile are not considered basic food because their consumption is affected by the price of these. In other words, if the price of them goes up, people will not buy them, preferring to buy foods that don't provide the required nutrition. Finally, the market chain of fruits and vegetables has lots of intermediaries which increase the price of these products to the final consumer. 70% of food aid distributed in DR Congo by the United Nations consists of products from the developed world. Much of the food aid is imported. It can take from 4 to 5 months to arrive and can cost up to 50% more than food purchased locally. Overcrowding is also a problem in this country, and the sustained increase in its population generates that food becomes increasingly scarce, leading to difference in distribution of food in the cities, or not reaching them at all. In both cases, about a third of food produced for human consumption is lost or waste, which represents about 1.3 billion tons per year. Food is waste along the food supply chain from farm production to final consumption in the home. Since one of the causes of malnutrition in the DRC and obesity in Chile is the misdistribution of food, the solution is to provide the most needy families direct and immediate access to food and generate a food sale next to the consumer. Why this is the solution? First, because the amount of discard crops could be reduced if more were sold directly to the consumer or the families have direct access to these, without going through so many stages of food marketing that generate losses. Bringing the producer-consumer relationship through direct sales generates geographic proximity between the place of production and the point of sale or consumption. Considering that these initiatives allow placements of products without any intermediaries, creating bonds of solidarity not only between producers and consumers, but a fair price for producers and lower cost of products for consumers. But how can it be done? Organizing smallholders and farmers to effectively diversify their production and marketing. Small farmers in a town with few resources can be organized in groups to produce a significant amount of crops that can be traded on a regular basis in a given area to be located near the farms and serve as supply for the local population. For more urbanized cities with no lands to cultivate, a cultivate system exists called organoponics, consisting of an established harvest technique and substrates prepared by mixing topsoil organic materials, which are placed in containers or beds and installed in empty places in densely populated areas. This summit will serve to expose the two such adverse situations as a basis for problems with the lack of physical and economical access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food to meet their dietary needs to develop an active and healthy life caused by poor food distribution in the world, and that its solution lies in the right of people to control their food.